And I found the freedom in painting. But architecture was knocking at my door. So finally, I wanted to see how I can create without limitation. So I figured the best way to create without limitation is to create with not recognizing there's a limitation, right? It's a rational thing. It's not a big deal. So I would create without thinking what the limitation is. I want to dress for somebody instead of measuring their different, parts. I just make a dress the way I love to see that dress. Is it on a skinny person, fat person, tall person, short person? Doesn't matter. I do the dress that I feel like it. And now I've got to fit it into that person. That fitting the dress into the person becomes your technique. So don't try to learn technique. There's no such thing as learning technique. That's why I never teach technique to anybody. Because there's no such thing. Technique is something that you develop and people identify you by it. It's like a name. Name is something that my parents gave me. And people identify me by that name. I have nothing to do with it. Somebody else's name and some other people connect. So we're far from the subject of love. But everything is in that world of love. Because when you create, there is no limit, there is no limitation in love. Hafez says, Rahist, Rah Eish, که آن را کناره نیست. راهیست راه عشق که آن را کناره نیست. آنجا جز آنکه جان به سپارند چاره نیست. The way of love has no shoulder. There's no shoulder to rest. The way of love has no shoulder to rest. There, your only option is surrender to the flow. So, surrendering to the flow means not thinking of limitation. So when you're thinking, when you're painting and you're thinking or you're seeing things, they become your limitation. You get it? The moment you become aware of something, that becomes your limitation. The moment I become aware that I'm missing a tooth in front of, my mouth, I deal with the limitation. I have to talk in another way that my mouth would not open. I have to, do all kinds of things that I'm confined with. So thinking of limitation is not the way of love. Only you can surrender to the road. There is no shoulder. There is no rest place. There is no part-time love. Love is a continuous flow that you get in it, and that continuous flow that you get in it develops your creative power. Because love has no limitation, any limit that comes along the way, what happens? If a limit comes along the way of love, what happens? You want to dissolve that limitation, so you come up with a way to do that. That way to do it comes from your training, your education, your culture, your background, your age, your sex, your whatever you say. That limitation is absolutely necessary. Ego is absolutely necessary. If you lose your ego, you're dead. You have no feeling for anything. But ego is to be a container, not the content. Yes, it came through you. As Mozart says, I might be repulsive, but my music is not. So when it comes to that point, you surrender to this flow.